Back, you see this. So Jesse Smollett, Torrey Hunter, the baseball player, Bubba Wallace, the NASCAR driver, and you can now add WNBA and Angel Reese to the list of accusations of racism that can absolutely destroy somebody's life that all turned out to be made up, fake lies. It started with this Caitlin Clark foul on Angel Reese. This was 10 days ago. After that, the WNBA announced they were launching an investigation into alleged racist comments made by fans in a crowd in Indiana that was filled with 90% little girls and their parents. And it took less than 10 days for the WNBA to figure out that there was no racism coming from the crowd at that game. Same thing with Torrey Hunter at Fenway Park in Boston. Joining us now for more, host of the Vince Ellison Show, Vince Ellison, and founder and president of IKnowGod.us, Pastor John Amanchukwu. Gentlemen, it is great to have you back. Vince, so once again, the media ran with this racism narrative before any investigation ever happened. They keep doing this. Why does this keep happening?
Well, the media is liberal. And as I've said before, the Democratic Party is a cabal of perverts, liars, psychopaths, and anti-Christian bigots. And racism sells for them. They have to keep this thing going. I think we have to realize that the black community has a certain amount of moral currency that they've always used here in this country to talk about these issues. And that currency has completely been worn out. People are not buying anymore. They have sold and cried wolf too many times. And these young people, like Ms. Reese, have learned from the best. They've learned from BLM. They learned from the NAACP. They've learned from Al Sharpton. They've learned from all of these race baiters to cry racism, and they'll get anything that they want. They are going to find out very quickly. And this is what's coming out of this is very good. That America is tired. Black fatigue is real. That this racism thing that they're screaming all the time has no more currency. You're gonna have to go out, you're gonna have to earn it. And if you don't want to earn it, we're gonna tell you to sit on the bench and stop crying because we're not gonna pay it any attention any longer.
Again, I remember the Torrey Hunter thing. Not a single fan came forward at Fenway Park and said, yeah, somebody was yelling something racist, the N-word or whatever. This whole thing reminds me of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson in the 80s. The difference is Larry Bird and Magic Johnson off the basketball court were really good friends. They still are to this day. And everyone would say, oh, you know, Magic's the best, Larry's the best. Michael Jordan was the best, by the way, even in the mid-'80s when both Larry and Magic Johnson were winning championships. Pastor John, take a listen to this. This is Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, who says Jim Crow is worse today than it was 60 years ago.
We are still in the civil rights movement. Jim Crow is still alive when they are right now seeking to resegregate our schools, workplaces, and communities. Jim Crow is still alive when they are legislating voter suppression. Jim Crow is still alive when they deny constitutional rights. Jim Crow is still alive when they will brutalize, imprison, intimidate you to silence you. Jim Crow is still alive when the Supreme Court has been enlisted as co-conspirators in this extremist march.
Pastor John, is she right? Is Jim Crow still alive?
She's a liar. It's more of the same, Rob. You know, it's people like Ayanna Pressley that gives the black community an improper image. You know, during the 60s, blacks were locked out of the public school system, but today they are trapped in, and they're trapped in by Marxist, atheist liberals who don't want them to have the opportunity to go to different school systems. That's why they fight against school choice. And Ayanna Pressley, she supports that as well. Everything that's negative in society, the Ayanna Presleys of this world support that. They support LGBTQ plus ideologies. They support abortion. They support transing students. They support pronouns. They support keeping the border open and fighting against President Trump as he seeks to keep families safe in America. Ayanna Pressley is a demon, and we must expose the demonology and the Luciferian ideologies of the Democrat Party. These people aren't good for America, and they don't mean us well.
Vince, I want to introduce you to a CNN anchor who I think is turning MAGA right before our very eyes. Take a look.
I went on a left-leaning podcast that shall remain nameless And we were talking about my kids, because I think they were both people without kids. And they asked me about my son, and I said he was, he's a football player, and he wants to be a policeman. And their joke was about my 15-year-old son, oh, how does he feel about minorities? Like the idea that he wants to be a policeman, therefore he's racist, my son. And that was the big laugh. And then I got dragged into comments and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, this is why you are losing elections.
Vince, is it happening? I've seen it happen before, and that's how it starts right there.
Look, man, I'm telling you, the left is going to cannibalize itself. Any man with a modicum of testosterone is going to lead the Democratic Party. It is being run by feminists and a bunch of gay men now. And if you have any manhood in you whatsoever, you can't countenance men around those people. They're insane. They're crazy. You have a bunch of very rich LGBTQ, feminist, climate change, open borders, and teachers unions running that party. And anybody with any type of manhood, insanity, or patriotism is going to leave out of that party. Jake Tapper might have just had his wake-up call. He may have just had his come to Jesus moment. He may have just found out, like a lot of black men found out, like me and John, to tell you that this party is not for us. And,
John,
and
15 seconds, John. 15 seconds, final
like me
thought.
and John's are putting the message out there, and people are leaving this demonic, evil institution. And God
15
bless
seconds.
us.
Pastor John, 15.
Hey, if you want to join a party where there's patriots and masculine men, strong men, come to the Republican Party. If you want to join the fruitcake party with all of the ballerinas and the sissies, stay in the Democrat Party. We need real men in America because we have real problems, and real men can turn the ship in the right direction.
You don't think the beard on Mayor Pete makes him look tough and masculine now? He grew out the beard.
Makes him look like a bearded lady.
It's just, I swear, Jake Tapper, he's not going to have a show on Newsmax, but Jake Tapper, this is happening. He's been red-pilled. It is happening. Vince Ellison, Pastor John, great to have you both on, as always. Look forward to doing it again soon. Thank you.
God bless.
All right, coming up, another American.